Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Today's big news is the National Maritime Day that is celebrated on the 5th of April every year. We will be discussing the history of this day, the significance of the National Maritime Day, and also the contribution of the maritime sector in India's economic progress. However, before we begin, just a gentle reminder that today is the beginning of the Target Prelims 2022 crash course for all the UPSC aspirants out there. As you know, this is a free crash course offered by the BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS team, specially modeled to cover the entire syllabus of 2022. All that you need to do to participate is to download the BYJU'S Exam Prep app, register in the app, and you can avail the course. This is a 50-day course in which every single day you will be getting a quiz, and the following day, the BYJU'S IAS faculties will be discussing all the questions from the quiz and will also be taking your doubts. Don't miss this opportunity. This covers the entire syllabus for the prelims, including the current affairs as well. Now let's go back to the big news, that is the National Maritime Day. As I said earlier, this is celebrated every year on the 5th of April. Since the 5th of April 1919 was the day that first Indian flag merchant vessel, that is SS Loyalty, made its maiden voyage from Mumbai to London. Now, this was the first ever ship with an Indian flag to go from India to London. Now, do remember, this was not an Indian ship, as in it was not built in India. It was originally a British ship only that was acquired by Indians and then started to be used as a merchant ship. Now, if you look at the history of maritime and shipping in India, it's a very fascinating story. From the end of the 19th century, there were multiple efforts by Indian industrialists and Indian entrepreneurs of that time to ensure that India should also have its own maritime industry. Because at that point of time, we did not really have any shipbuilding factory in India. All the exports from India used to be done either with the British ships or with other European ships. Post that, the most successful attempt to ensure that India also has a shipping industry was made by a merchant at that time called Mr. Walchand Hirachand. He later on became the founder of the Walchand Group. He also established India's first modern shipyard, India's first aircraft factory. Not just this, he also was a person behind setting up India's first car factory. Just a fun fact about him, the HAL, that is the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited that you know today, was actually earlier known as Hindustan Aircraft. It was a company that was founded by none other than Walchand Hirachand. So in 1919, he was just a common railway contractor and he got to know that there's a British ship that is being auctioned. The ship's name was RMS Empress of India. That ship was actually purchased by Maharaja Sir Madhavrao Scindia of Gwalior for offering ambulance-related services and hospital services in the First World War. After the First World War was over, Madhavrao Scindia did not really own the ship after that because he had only taken it for the services in the First World War. The ship had gone back to the original British company. Now, what Mr. Hirachand did was, he was a very smart man and he knew that most people in India are familiar with the name of Maharaja Madhavrao Scindia. So he used his name. He said to the people that there is a ship that is owned by Mr. Madhavrao Scindia and we also need to invest some money in that so that the ship can come to India. So he used Scindia's name to attract investors and contribute money to purchase the ship. When the reality was, Madhavrao Scindia did not own that ship anymore after the First World War. But even then his name was used. And that is how the ship was bought. In fact, Walchand set up a company by the name Scindia that was called Scindia Steam Navigation Company, where the Scindia family had no financial stake. It was just a name that he was using to gain popularity. And this is how this first ever ship from India with an Indian flag went from Mumbai to London. This is the story of how we started to celebrate the National Maritime Day. On this occasion, we also saw the Prime Minister Narendra Modi marking a tweet saying that today, on the National Maritime Day, we must recall the glorious maritime history and highlight the importance of the maritime sector. He also highlighted the work that the government has done in the last 8 years to ensure that the maritime trade in India reaches an all-time high. And we will discuss some of those aspects as well. Now, the significance that maritime trade and shipping holds in any country's development is no secret. Out of all the modes of transportation, especially from one country to the other country, the most effective and the most economical is maritime shipping. That is why 90% of India's international trade in terms of volume and 77% of trade in terms of value is moved by sea, and this is no surprise. That is why the landlocked nations are at such a disadvantage because they can't use this sea route as the other countries can. That is why we must understand that India is blessed to have such a long coastline that we can utilize to move all our trade through these routes and also import stuff from here as well. All this data has been taken from Government of India's website. It shows us that the annual cargo movement doubled to 1 billion tons per annum over the decade starting from 2005. Also, the seaborne trade in India has grown at twice the rate of global growth rate, that is at 3.3%, making India the 16th largest maritime country in the entire world. Now, the government has also listed out certain initiatives that they have taken in the past few years to bring back focus on maritime trade and maritime connectivity. These include naming and developing many more national waterways as compared to what we had earlier. If you remember, in the month of February, it was in the news that a cargo ship sailed from Patna to the Pandu port in Guwahati. All of that was made possible because of development of these national waterways. Then the government of India is also working on the Sagarmala initiative, building new containers where Bhavnagar in Gujarat has been developed as a container manufacturing hub. The government of India has also been working to develop specialist terminal-based ports, and the government has also made it a part of the Atmanirbhar Abhiyan. That is why special economic and comprehensive package of 20 lakh crore rupees has been announced to give a boost to manufacturing in India. That includes the maritime manufacturing as well. Now, because of all these efforts, the cargo traffic in India has seen a major boost in the past decade or so. India at present has 12 major and 200 non-major or intermediate, out of which, as you would know, the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust is the largest major port in India, while the Mundra Port is the largest private port in the country. India right now is one of the top 5 ship recycling countries in the world, because with the shipping industry, the one thing that we ignore is the fact that ships also have a certain age, and after they pass their age, it's a big hassle for the shipping companies and the other nations also how to recycle these ships, how can we extract most of the useful material from that ship, and that is why ship recycling also is a big booming industry. In fact, the famous Alang ship breaking yard in Gujarat is one of the largest ship breaking yards in the entire world. That is why ships from across the world, when they have passed their lifetime, they come to Gujarat for dismantling purposes. The total installed capacity of the major ports in India has also increased considerably if you compare it with the past 7 or 8 years. The total traffic handled also has increased in the similar proportion. Now, also remember that last year, when India was celebrating the National Maritime Day of 2021, the Prime Minister had announced the Maritime India Vision of 2030, which is a 10-year program to overhaul the entire Indian maritime sector and also to bring in much more investment and improve employment prospects in this area. The Maritime India Vision of 2030 included government's efforts to enhance cruise infrastructure by developing dedicated cruise terminals at 12 selected ports, strengthen the maritime institutions by increasing India's share of seafarers from about 12% to more than 20%. Also, make sure that we prioritize the development of 23 national waterways, which will result in improvement of cargo movement within the country, and also to develop the Eastern Waterways Connectivity Port to increase regional connectivity. All of these will remain in focus for the upcoming decade till 2030. This is it for today's big news. Thank you so much for watching.